I think Octopus Energy has got something wrong. And before you rush to the comments, hear me out. They've published a new page on their website explaining why you can't use Octopus Energy alongside Intelligent Octopus Go. Coincidentally, at the same time as they launched Charge Pack, their own competitor Octopus Energy's services. The problem is, I've read their explanation several times, and I can't make sense of it. They claim the two systems would issue conflicting instructions, but based on how Axle actually works today, I can't find a single real-world scenario where that would happen. So either I'm missing something, or Octopus aren't explaining the problem correctly. Now, one of the things I've always tried to do on this channel is follow the evidence. If a company publishes new information, I read it. If a government publishes a report, I read that. If I disagree with something, I try and explain exactly why. Today, I want to talk about a web page published by Octopus Energy on its website. It's about whether you can use Octopus Energy alongside Octopus Intelligent Go. Octopus says the answer is no, and that's absolutely their right. It's their explanation that I'm struggling with. I've read it several times and I genuinely can't work out how the conflict they're describing actually exists. Now, before we go any further, if I've misunderstood something, I'll happily correct it. In fact, I'd welcome somebody from Octopus explaining where I'm going wrong. But based on what they've published today, I don't think their explanation fits the way that Octopus Energy currently works. So let's dive in and take a look. First, some background. Octopus have recently launched Charge Pack. The idea is straightforward. If you have a home battery, Octopus can optimize when it charges, when it discharges, to help support the national grid and hopefully make you a bit of money. In return, they're going to guarantee you a monthly payment whether they charge or discharge your battery at all. I actually think this is a really good idea for a lot of people. More flexibility is good for the grid, more flexibility is good for renewable energy, and if the customer gets rewarded for helping, everybody wins. So this video isn't about whether Charge Pack is a good product. It's about the explanation that Octopus has given for why you can't use Octopus Energy instead. Now let's talk about Axle. Axle actually has two operating modes. The first is a fully managed optimization mode, very similar to Charge Pack. That's currently in beta testing and only available to a very small number of customers. The second is called Events Only, and that's the one that the majority of us are on. And that's the important one for today's discussion, because that's the mode I'm using. And in events only mode, Axle doesn't optimize your daily charging schedule. It doesn't decide when to charge your battery overnight. It doesn't interfere with your Home Assistant setup or any automations you've got. It simply waits. And if the national grid requests support during a grid event, Axle will discharge your battery. And then it goes back to doing nothing. And that's it. That's an important distinction. Now let's look at what Octopus says on its own website. They explain that Octopus Intelligent Go helps balance the electricity grid. When there's a lot of renewable energy available, they can increase the EV charging hours that you get. When the grid is under pressure, they can pause or stop that charging altogether. That's exactly how these flexibility services should work. There's no disagreement from me. I'm not saying this should be wrong, should be done differently. But then they go on to say this. If another provider is calling the shots on your battery at the same time as we're trying to manage your EV, it creates a problem. Then they add, two different apps could end up giving your home completely clashing instructions at exactly the same second. That's the sentence that caught my attention, because I simply can't see how that can happen. Now let's use my own house as an example. Octopus controls my electric car. That's it. They don't have access to my battery. They don't know its state of charge. They don't know whether it's charging or discharging. They don't even know whether it's full or empty. Axle controls one thing: battery discharge during the occasional grid events. So where exactly is this conflict? Let's imagine the grid has too much renewable energy. It's a bright sunny day, the wind is blowing, there is a lot of excess energy in the grid. According to Octopus, they can increase EV charging. What does Axle Events Only do in this situation? Absolutely nothing. Because it only responds to grid events when energy is needed. So in this case, there is no conflict. Now let's imagine the opposite. The grid is under pressure. According to Octopus's own explanation, they stop charging the EV. At exactly the same time, Axle receives a request to discharge the battery. Again, those two actions appear to complement each other. The EV stops consuming electricity, the battery starts supplying electricity to the grid and to your house. One reduces demand, one increases supply. Both help the grid. Again, I don't see any conflicting instructions. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean Octopus are wrong. It may simply mean they're explaining the wrong issue. Perhaps the real limitation isn't technical at all. Perhaps it's to do with how flexibility services are settled in the UK electricity market. Perhaps only one flexibility provider can be registered to a particular MPAN. If that's the reason, just say so. I completely understand that. Another possibility is that Charge Pack is simply a cleaner commercial solution for Octopus. Octopus manages everything: the EV, the battery, the optimization, the flexibility payments. Again, there is nothing wrong with that. But that's very different from the explanation that they're giving on their website. They're saying that the two systems are issuing conflicting instructions. Because based on the current event-only mode, I don't believe that they are. So here's the question I genuinely like Octopus to answer. Can you provide one real-world example where Intelligent Octopus Go and Axle Events Only issue conflicting instructions? Not the fully managed version, the beta version that Axle are testing right now, specifically the Events Only mode. Because I've tried to build that scenario and I can't come up with a way that conflicting instructions would be issued in any way. If there's a technical conflict, I genuinely like to understand it, because at the moment, I think the explanation published on the website raises more questions than it answers. As I've said before, this channel is about following the evidence. If Octopus explains this in more detail, I'll happily make a follow-up video. If Axle respond, I'll cover that as well. The goal here isn't to criticize anybody, because these are businesses that are providing services, and ultimately it's up to us whether we want to accept them. It's simply to understand how these systems actually work, so we can make a better informed decision about the technology we're putting in our homes, and I'd love to know what you think about it. Can you see a technical conflict that I've missed? Or do you think there is some other explanation? Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you found this thought-provoking. I really do want to hear what you think in the comments below. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you back here real soon for another video. Take care. Bye-bye.